Woman gives birth to 12 babies, all different species. How is this even possible? To find out, watch the video to the end. But first, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get more stories like this. In a small, bustling town where the extraordinary often mingled with the ordinary, Emily Walker was known as a kind-hearted woman who loved animals more than anything. Her home was a mini sanctuary filled with stray cats, rescued birds, and even a retired racehorse she named Dash. Her passion for wildlife extended into her career as a veterinarian, where she worked tirelessly to save every creature that came her way. However, Emily's life took an unimaginable turn when she became the centerpiece of a miracle that no one could explain. Emily and her husband Ben had been trying for years to have a child. They had visited countless doctors and specialists, endured invasive tests, and tried every treatment imaginable. Each failed attempt deepened their despair. Still, they remained hopeful, leaning on each other and their shared love for animals to get through the darkest days. One evening, as they were walking through the forest behind their house, they stumbled upon an ancient, weathered statue of a mother cradling her child, surrounded by carvings of animals. The base of the statue bore an inscription in a language neither of them could decipher. Emily felt an inexplicable pull toward the statue. She knelt before it, closing her eyes and silently wishing for the family she had always dreamed of. As she rose, a sudden gust of wind swirled around them, rustling the trees and carrying a faint, melodic hum. Ben brushed it off as the wind, but Emily felt something deep inside her shift. Weeks after their encounter with the mysterious statue, Emily began to feel different. At first, it was subtle, a heightened sense of smell, a strange craving for exotic fruits, and a sudden burst of energy that left her restless at night. Ben joked that she was finally catching some of the traits of the animals she cared for, but Emily felt it was something more. One morning, as she sat on the porch sipping her tea, Emily felt a sudden wave of nausea. Alarmed, she went inside to lie down, but the symptoms persisted over the next few days. Ben convinced her to visit the doctor, thinking it might be the flu or exhaustion from her demanding work. They were not prepared for what the doctor revealed. "Emily," Dr. Harper said, looking at her with wide eyes, "you're pregnant?" Emily froze. The words hung in the air like a bell ringing in an empty room. Ben clutched her hand, his face a mix of shock and elation. "Are you sure?" Emily stammered. Dr. Harper smiled and nodded, holding up the ultrasound image. "This is your baby. Congratulations." Tears streamed down Emily's face as she turned to Ben, who kissed her forehead. It was the moment they had been waiting for, but as joyful as it was, something felt unusual. Dr. Harper mentioned that her hormone levels were slightly elevated, but nothing alarming. She scheduled Emily for a follow-up appointment in a few weeks. Over the next few months, Emily's pregnancy became the talk of the town. Not because she was expecting, after all, pregnancies were a common occurrence, but because of the strange occurrences surrounding her. Animals in the neighborhood seemed inexplicably drawn to her. Stray dogs would follow her home, birds would perch on her windowsill and sing for hours, and even the notoriously elusive deer in the forest behind her house began appearing in her yard. Emily's physical changes were equally perplexing. Her belly grew faster than expected, and by the third month, she looked as though she were 6 months pregnant. Concerned, she returned to Dr. Harper, who conducted another ultrasound. The room fell silent as the doctor stared at the screen. This can't be right," she muttered. "What is it?" Emily asked, her heart pounding. Dr. Harper turned the screen toward Emily and Ben. "You're carrying more than one baby," she said cautiously. "In fact, you're carrying 12. 12! Ben exclaimed, nearly falling out of his chair. Emily's eyes widened in disbelief. "How is that even possible?" "I don't know," Dr. Harper admitted. "But there's something else. These babies don't all look human." The hours following the delivery were surreal for everyone involved. Emily and Ben's hospital room, once a sterile and quiet space, now felt like a zoo in the most heartwarming way possible. Each of the 12 newborns, though wildly different in appearance, displayed traits that were undeniably infant-like: soft cries, tiny movements, and an instinctive need to be close to their mother. Emily sat upright in the bed, cradling 2 of the babies. one resembling a lion cub and the other a panda. Ben stood beside her, holding the baby with bright feathers resembling a parrot. Nurses moved around the room with a mix of awe and professionalism, monitoring the health of the babies. The unusual nature of the situation had not diminished their commitment to care. "What now?" Ben asked, his voice tinged with a mix of wonder and concern. "How do we even begin to explain this to the world?" Dr. Harper stood near the window, gazing out thoughtfully. "For now, let's focus on ensuring everyone is healthy," she said. "I've contacted specialists, biologists, and even geneticists to help us understand what's happening here. But Emily and the babies need peace and rest." Despite the chaos of the situation, Emily radiated a calm presence. "They're just babies," she said, stroking the fur of the lion-like newborn. "It doesn't matter what they look like. They're mine, and I'll protect them with everything I have." Ben knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "We'll do this together," he promised. As news of the birth spread, the world erupted in a frenzy. Headlines declared it the miracle of the century, and speculation ran wild. Religious leaders called it a divine sign, scientists debated the potential causes, and conspiracy theorists spun tales of extraterrestrial intervention. Outside the hospital, a growing crowd of reporters, curious onlookers, and even protesters gathered, demanding answers. The hospital staff did their best to maintain privacy, but the presence of so many people created a tense atmosphere. Security guards were stationed at every entrance, and Dr. Harper implemented strict visitor protocols. Still, the pressure on Emily and Ben grew with each passing day. Inside their hospital room, however, the atmosphere was one of love and discovery. Each baby displayed unique characteristics that aligned with their animal-like appearances. The lion-like baby let out soft growls when hungry, while the zebra-striped baby wiggled its legs as if ready to run. The parrot-like baby chirped melodically, bringing smiles to everyone's faces. Despite their differences, the babies interacted with one another as siblings do. They huddled close when placed together, their movements synchronized as if they shared an unspoken bond. Emily watched them with awe, feeling an overwhelming sense of connection. "They understand each other," she said to Ben. "It's like they're part of something bigger than us." Ben nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Maybe they are." By the end of the first week, a team of specialists had arrived to study the phenomenon. Among them was Dr. Elaine Porter, a renowned geneticist with decades of experience. She approached Emily and Ben with a respectful demeanor, aware of the emotional and physical toll they were under. "First, let me say how honored I am to be here," Dr. Porter began. "What you've experienced is unprecedented, and our goal is to provide support and understanding." Emily nodded, cradling one of the babies, a furry, koala-like newborn. "What do you think caused this?" she asked. "Is it something I did? Something I was exposed to?" Dr. Porter hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "We're still in the early stages of analysis," she said. "But from what we've gathered so far, there are anomalies in the baby's DNA. They share your genetic markers, but there are additional sequences we can't identify. It's almost as if something external influenced their development." Emily's mind immediately went to the glowing statue in the jungle, but she held back from mentioning it. Instead, she asked, "What does this mean for them? Will they be okay?" Dr. Porter offered a reassuring smile. "From what we can see, they're healthy. Their vital signs are strong, and their development is normal, aside from their appearances, of course. But we'll need to continue monitoring them." As the days turned into weeks, Emily and Ben were allowed to return home with their 12 unique children. The hospital provided a team of caregivers and specialists to assist them, but the sheer scale of their new reality was daunting. Their modest home was transformed into a makeshift nursery, complete with temperature-controlled areas for the different needs of the babies. The parrot-like baby, for instance, required a warm environment, while the penguin-like baby thrived in cooler temperatures. Despite the challenges, Emily and Ben embraced their roles as parents with unwavering dedication. They took turns feeding, bathing, and soothing the babies, marveling at their individual quirks. The lion-like baby had a playful yet protective demeanor, often nudging its siblings as if guarding them. The giraffe-like baby was curious and observant, its large eyes taking in every detail of its surroundings. Their days were filled with both chaos and joy. The sound of chirps, growls, and soft coos echoed through the house, creating a symphony of life. Emily often found herself smiling through her exhaustion, grateful for the love that filled their home. Meanwhile, the outside world continued to speculate. Offers poured in from media outlets, scientists, and even governments, all eager to study or document the phenomenon. Emily and Ben, however, remained protective of their children. "They're not experiments," Emily said firmly during a phone call with a high-profile journalist. "There are babies." Still, the pressure mounted. Protesters appeared outside their home, some accusing Emily of playing God, while others hailed her as a prophet. The constant attention took a toll on the family, but they refused to let it disrupt their bond. One evening, as Emily sat in the nursery watching her children sleep, she felt a wave of clarity wash over her. "They're here for a reason," she said aloud, though no one else was in the room. "I don't know what it is yet, but I'll do everything I can to protect them." Weeks turned into months, and life for Emily, Ben, and their 12 extraordinary children became a unique blend of routine and unpredictability. The media frenzy surrounding their family began to die down, though curious onlookers and occasional reporters still lingered near their home. Inside, however, the family focused on building a sense of normalcy, even in the midst of an extraordinary situation. Each baby was developing at its own pace, showcasing abilities and behaviors that left the family in awe. The lion-like baby, whom they affectionately named Leo, had started crawling with remarkable speed and seemed to have a keen sense of awareness. The penguin-like baby, named Pippa, loved sliding across smooth surfaces and made soft honking noises whenever she was excited. The parrot-like baby, now called Polly, had begun mimicking sounds, including Emily's laughter and Ben's whistling. The challenges of raising 12 unique children were immense, but Emily and Ben found joy in the little moments. Bath time, for example, had become a family favorite. While most of the babies enjoyed splashing in the water, Pippa would slide in with a delighted squeal, and Polly would chirp loudly, almost as if cheering everyone on. Leo, meanwhile, would guard the tub, playfully batting at bubbles with his tiny paws. Despite their differences, the babies shared an unbreakable bond. They would often huddle together during naps, their tiny bodies creating a patchwork of fur, feathers, and soft skin. Emily marveled at how they instinctively cared for one another. "They're a team," she said to Ben one evening as they watched the babies sleep. "It's like they know they're meant to be together." Ben nodded, his gaze filled with pride. And were their team too? Outside their home, the scientific community continued its quest for answers. Dr. Elaine Porter and her team had made significant progress in analyzing the baby's DNA. They discovered that each child possessed unique genetic markers that corresponded to their animal-like traits, but what baffled them most was the presence of unknown sequences that didn't match anything found in human or animal genomes. "It's almost as if they're hybrids of a new kind," Dr. Porter explained during a meeting with her colleagues. But the question remains, how did this happen? What external factor could have influenced their development? The glowing statue Emily had encountered during her jungle expedition remained at the forefront of her mind, but she hesitated to bring it up. She feared that revealing the statue's possible connection might lead to unwanted attention or even danger for her family. For now, she chose to focus on the present and protect her children. One day, a letter arrived at their home. It was from the mayor of their town, inviting Emily and Ben to bring their family to a community event celebrating diversity and unity. "The world has been inspired by your story," the letter read. "Your family represents the beauty of differences and the strength of togetherness. We would be honored to have you join us." Emily was hesitant. "Do you think it's a good idea?" she asked Ben. "What if people react badly? What if the babies get overwhelmed?" Ben placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We've been hiding for too long," he said. "Maybe it's time to show the world who they really are. Besides, this is an opportunity to share a message of acceptance and love." After much deliberation, Emily agreed. They spent the following days preparing for the event, ensuring the babies had everything they needed to feel safe and comfortable. The giraffe-like baby, Grace, was particularly excited, stretching her neck to peek out of the stroller as if eager to explore. The day of the event arrived, and the family was greeted with cheers and applause as they entered the community center. People of all ages and backgrounds had gathered to catch a glimpse of the famous Miracle family. Despite the crowd, the atmosphere was warm and welcoming. Emily and Ben took turns introducing the babies, sharing anecdotes about their unique traits and personalities. The audience listened with rapt attention, their expressions a mix of wonder and admiration. When Emily spoke about the challenges they had faced, she emphasized the importance of love and acceptance. These babies may look different, but at their core, they're just like any other children, she said. They deserve to be loved, protected, and celebrated for who they are. The crowd erupted into applause, and several people approached the family afterward to express their support. "You're an inspiration," one woman said, tears in her eyes. "Thank you for showing us the power of love." As the family settled back into their routine, Emily and Ben noticed a change in their community. People seemed more open-minded, more willing to embrace differences. The once frequent protests outside their home had all but disappeared, replaced by messages of kindness and solidarity. The babies continued to thrive, each day bringing new milestones and discoveries. Polly had started stringing together simple words, her chirping voice bringing laughter to the household. Leo had taken his first steps, his tiny paws padding across the floor with determination. Grace loved to reach for objects high above, her long neck giving her a distinct advantage. Despite the challenges, Emily and Ben felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Their journey was far from ordinary, but it was theirs, and they wouldn't have it any other way. As the babies grew, so did their abilities, and their personalities began to shine even brighter. Emily and Ben marveled at how each child developed skills that seemed almost otherworldly. Leo, with his lion-like features, had a protective instinct that was unmatched. Whenever one of his siblings cried, he would crawl over and sit beside them, a low, comforting rumble emanating from his tiny chest. Pippa, the penguin-like baby, was a little explorer. She loved waddling around the house, always curious about new textures and objects. Her fascination with water only grew, and bath time had become a full-blown adventure. She would slide around the tub, splashing and squealing with delight, much to the amusement of her siblings. Polly, the parrot-like baby, had become the family's chatterbox. Her mimicry skills were uncanny, and she could replicate not only sounds but also short phrases. Mama's little star, she would chirp, earning endless laughter from the family. Her siblings seemed to look up to her, often gathering around as if waiting for her to speak. Grace, with her giraffe-like traits, was growing taller by the day. Her long neck allowed her to reach places her siblings couldn't, and she often shared her findings with them. She had a nurturing nature, always helping the smaller ones when they needed something. Each baby brought a unique energy to the family, but it was their bond that truly stood out. Despite their differences, they functioned as a unit, supporting and protecting one another in ways that amazed Emily and Ben. They would often pile together for naps, their tiny bodies forming a patchwork of fur, feathers, and soft skin. Meanwhile, the scientific community's fascination with the family had reached new heights. Dr. Elaine Porter had been tirelessly studying the baby's DNA, hoping to uncover the mystery behind their unique traits. One day, she made a groundbreaking discovery, a previously unknown sequence in their genomes that seemed to defy all known biological rules. "This sequence is unlike anything we've ever seen," she explained during a press conference. "It's almost as if it was designed with a purpose. These children may hold the key to understanding the future of evolution." The announcement sent shockwaves through the scientific world, but it also reignited public interest in the family. Offers for interviews and media appearances poured in, but Emily and Ben were cautious. They wanted to ensure their children's safety and privacy above all else. "We'll share our story," Emily told Ben one evening, "but on our terms. The world needs to know that these babies are more than a scientific anomaly. They're a reminder of how beautiful differences can be." The opportunity came when the family was invited to participate in a global summit on diversity and inclusion. The event was set to take place in a sprawling convention center, with attendees from all over the world. Emily and Ben saw it as a chance to share their journey and advocate for acceptance and understanding. On the day of the summit, the family arrived to a standing ovation. The sight of Emily and Ben with their 12 unique children was nothing short of awe-inspiring. The babies, dressed in colorful outfits that complemented their traits, were the stars of the show. Emily took the stage to speak, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "Our journey has been extraordinary," she began, "but it's also been a reminder of what truly matters. These babies have taught us that love knows no boundaries. They've shown us that differences are not something to fear but something to celebrate." Her words resonated deeply with the audience, many of whom were moved to tears. When it was Ben's turn to speak, he focused on the importance of unity. "We live in a world that often tries to divide us," he said. "But if our family can teach you one thing, it's that we're stronger together." These babies are living proof of that. The summit was a resounding success, and the family returned home with a renewed sense of purpose. They continued to navigate the challenges of raising 12 extraordinary children, but they did so with unwavering determination and love. As the months passed, the babies reached new milestones. Polly started stringing sentences together, her voice a mix of chirps and words. Leo had become a little guardian, always watching over his siblings with a calm but commanding presence. Grace's curiosity knew no bounds, and she loved exploring the garden, her long neck giving her a unique perspective. The family had found a rhythm, a sense of balance amidst the chaos. They knew their journey was far from over, but they faced each day with hope and gratitude. Their story had touched countless lives, inspiring people around the world to embrace differences and celebrate the beauty of diversity. As the children grew older, their individuality became even more pronounced. Each of them seemed to have inherited not only unique physical traits but also extraordinary abilities that left everyone around them in awe. The family's backyard became a hub of activity and wonder, a place where each child could explore their potential. Leo, the lion-like child, had developed a sense of leadership. He would instinctively guide his siblings during their playtime, organizing their games with a natural charisma. His roars had become more pronounced, not aggressive but protective, always ensuring the safety of his family. His presence was a constant source of comfort for Emily and Ben, who often referred to him as the big brother figure, despite all the children being the same age. Polly, the parrot-like girl, had taken her mimicry to a new level. Not only could she repeat words and phrases, but she could also replicate the tones and emotions of those around her. During family gatherings, she would often entertain everyone by imitating voices, making her siblings burst into laughter. Her curiosity about languages led to her learning simple phrases in different tongues, a feat that astonished even linguists who visited the family. Grace, with her giraffe-like traits, had become the quiet observer. Her height allowed her to see the world differently, and she loved sketching what she saw. Emily discovered her artistic talent one afternoon when Grace presented a drawing of the backyard, complete with a detailed rendering of each of her siblings. It was a beautiful mix of childlike creativity and a perspective far beyond her years. Meanwhile, Pippa, the penguin-like child, had become the family's adventurer. Her love for water knew no bounds, and she would spend hours waddling around the small pool in their backyard. One day, Emily and Ben decided to take the family to the beach, and Pippa's excitement was palpable. She waddled straight into the waves, her siblings cheering her on as she splashed and played with boundless joy. The family's outings had become a spectacle in themselves. Whether it was a trip to the park, the zoo, or the grocery store, people couldn't help but stop and stare at the unique siblings. The reactions were mixed. Some were filled with admiration and curiosity, while others were skeptical or even judgmental. But Emily and Ben always handled the attention with grace, ensuring their children felt loved and protected. One day, during a trip to a local animal sanctuary, something remarkable happened. The sanctuary had recently rescued a lion cub, and when the family visited its enclosure, Leo stepped forward. The cub, which had been shy and withdrawn since its rescue, immediately perked up. It approached the glass barrier, its eyes locking with Leo's. To everyone's astonishment, the two seemed to communicate in a way that went beyond words. The sanctuary staff was amazed. "It's as if they share a bond," one of them remarked. "We've never seen the cub this responsive before." This experience further reinforced what Emily and Ben already knew. Their children were extraordinary, not just in appearance but in their connection to the world around them. As the years passed, the children's abilities continued to evolve. Polly's linguistic talents led her to become a little diplomat within the family, resolving disputes with her charm and wit. Grace's artistic skills blossomed, and she began creating murals that celebrated the beauty of diversity. Pippa's adventurous spirit inspired her siblings to explore new places and try new things. The family also became advocates for acceptance and understanding. Emily and Ben started a foundation dedicated to celebrating diversity and supporting families with unique challenges. They shared their journey through books, interviews, and community events, always emphasizing the importance of love and unity. One evening, as the family gathered in the backyard, Emily looked around at her children, now growing into their unique identities. "You've all taught us so much," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Not just about love but about the endless possibilities that come with embracing differences." Ben nodded, his eyes glistening with pride. "We're not just a family," he said. "We're a team. And together, there's nothing we can't overcome." The children's story became a source of inspiration for people around the world. Letters poured in from families who had faced challenges of their own, thanking Emily and Ben for sharing their journey. The children's uniqueness was no longer seen as an oddity but as a celebration of life's infinite possibilities. As the sun set that evening, casting a warm glow over the backyard, the family sat together, their bond unbreakable. They knew their journey was far from over, but they faced the future with hope, love, and the unshakable belief that their differences made them stronger. Their story wasn't just about 12 extraordinary children. It was a testament to the power of love, unity, and the beauty of embracing what makes each of us unique. Here's the next batch of the story, continuing from where we left off. The public's reaction to the miraculous event was swift and overwhelming. Within hours of the news breaking, the hospital became a hub of activity. Reporters camped outside, desperate for a glimpse of the unique babies or an interview with Sarah. Animal experts, biologists, and geneticists flooded the hospital, eager to analyze the situation. The birth of 12 babies, each resembling a different species, challenged every scientific principle known to humanity. Inside the hospital room, Sarah held two of her unusual babies close to her chest, a tiny lion cub and a panda. Her gaze shifted to the nurse holding a baby penguin, its soft chirps melting everyone's hearts. Doctors and specialists were still examining the babies to ensure they were healthy, given their extraordinary features. Sarah's husband, Mark, had arrived an hour after the birth. The shock on his face when he saw the babies was evident. I don't even know what to say," he stammered, his eyes scanning the room. "They're ours, Mark," Sarah said softly, her voice filled with a mix of wonder and exhaustion. "No matter what they look like, they're our children." Mark knelt beside her bed, taking her hand. "You're right. They're beautiful. Every single one of them." The hospital staff worked tirelessly to accommodate the growing interest. A makeshift nursery was set up, complete with enclosures for the more mobile babies like the zebra and monkey, while the bird-like babies were kept in warm incubators. Despite their differences, all 12 babies were thriving. However, the outside world wasn't as kind. Social media was ablaze with theories and speculations. Some claimed the event was a hoax, while others suggested divine intervention or an alien experiment. Religious leaders weighed in, with some calling it a miracle and others labeling it an omen. Scientists debated the possibility of genetic manipulation or mutations, though no concrete explanation had been found. Amidst the chaos, Sarah remained calm. She focused on bonding with her children, ignoring the noise from the outside world. "I don't care what people think," she told Mark one evening. "All that matters is that they're healthy and loved." Mark nodded. "We'll get through this together." But the couple's resolve was tested when government officials arrived at the hospital. Representatives from various agencies wanted to examine the babies further, claiming it was a matter of national security. Sarah refused. "They're my children, not lab experiments," she said firmly. The standoff between Sarah and the officials quickly became a media spectacle. Crowds gathered outside the hospital, chanting in support of Sarah. Signs reading "Protect the babies" and "Miracles are not experiments" filled the streets. Sarah's story resonated with millions worldwide, sparking debates about ethics, parenthood, and the definition of family. One night, as Sarah sat by the window holding the koala-like baby, she noticed the zebra baby attempting to stand in its enclosure. Its little legs wobbled, but it didn't give up. "Look, Mark," she exclaimed. "He's trying to walk." Mark rushed over, his phone ready to record the moment. "Come on, little guy," he encouraged. The zebra baby took a few unsteady steps before collapsing, earning cheers and applause from the staff. Moments like these reminded Sarah and Mark that their children were just like any other babies, full of potential and wonder. They might look different, but they were a family. As the days turned into weeks, the world's fascination with Sarah's story only grew. Offers poured in from publishers, filmmakers, and even theme parks. Some wanted exclusive rights to the story, while others suggested turning the family's life into a reality show. Sarah rejected them all. "I won't let them turn my children into entertainment," she said. Instead, she chose to share her journey on her terms. With Mark's help, she started a blog documenting her experiences as a mother to 12 unique babies. Her candid posts about the joys and challenges of raising them resonated with parents everywhere, and the blog quickly gained millions of followers. Through her writing, Sarah emphasized the importance of love and acceptance. "It doesn't matter what my children look like," she wrote in one post. "What matters is that they're loved and valued for who they are." The blog became a platform for discussions about diversity, inclusion, and the beauty of differences. Parents of children with special needs reached out to Sarah, thanking her for inspiring them. "Your story gives us hope," one mother wrote. "You've shown the world that every child is a gift." Weeks turned into months, and Sarah's family adapted to their new reality. The hospital eventually released the babies into Sarah and Mark's care, but not without ensuring they had all the resources and guidance needed for such a unique situation. The couple's home underwent significant modifications to accommodate their unusual family. Their living room was transformed into a hybrid nursery, with spaces designed to cater to each baby's specific needs. A climbing area for the monkey-like baby was installed, alongside a water play area for the penguin and tropical bird babies. The lion cub and zebra had soft, cushioned enclosures, while the panda enjoyed a bamboo-themed corner. Sarah's blog posts continued to inspire millions, and with the world watching, her family became a symbol of unconditional love. Yet, challenges persisted. Taking the babies out in public was nearly impossible. Paparazzi followed them everywhere, and strangers often approached with mixed reactions, curiosity, awe, and occasionally judgment. Sarah learned to shield her children from the negativity, focusing on creating a safe and nurturing environment at home. One day, Sarah received an invitation from an international conference on biodiversity and genetics. The organizers wanted her to share her story, emphasizing the profound connection between her unique family and the broader discussion on life's diversity. Initially hesitant, Sarah saw an opportunity to change the narrative. "If we can shift the focus from spectacle to understanding, it'll be worth it," she told Mark. The conference was held in Geneva, Switzerland, and Sarah's entire family was flown in under tight security. The sight of her 12 babies captivated the audience. Experts from various fields were eager to engage with Sarah, not as a subject of experimentation but as a mother who had embraced the extraordinary. Her speech moved the crowd to tears. "I never asked for this," Sarah began, her voice steady despite the thousands of eyes on her. "But life gave me these children, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. They've taught me that love has no boundaries, that family isn't defined by appearances but by the bonds we share." She spoke about the lessons her children had taught her in just a few months. "My zebra baby taught me resilience when he stood for the first time despite his wobbly legs. My penguin baby reminds me of the joy in small things every time he splashes in his water area. And my lion cub baby showed me bravery when he tried to roar for the first time." Her words resonated deeply with the audience, sparking conversations about acceptance, empathy, and the celebration of life in all its forms. By the end of the conference, Sarah's family had not only gained admirers but also allies. Scientists pledged to study the phenomenon responsibly, ensuring the children's well-being came first. Activists vowed to protect the family from exploitation, and educators promised to use the story to teach future generations about the importance of kindness and understanding. Back home, life began to settle into a routine. The babies grew quickly, each developing unique personalities. The lion cub baby was fearless and curious, often leading his siblings into mischief. The panda baby was gentle and loved cuddling, while the monkey baby became the household clown, always finding ways to make everyone laugh. Sarah and Mark marveled at how their children, despite their differences, shared an unbreakable bond. One evening, as Sarah watched her children play in the backyard, she reflected on how far they'd come. The world's initial shock and skepticism had given way to admiration and support. Strangers sent letters and gifts, schools invited Sarah to speak, and her blog had evolved into a global community of parents sharing their own stories of love and resilience. But not everyone was supportive. A few vocal critics continued to question the legitimacy of Sarah's story, spreading conspiracy theories and accusations. Sarah, however, refused to engage. "We don't need to prove anything to anyone," she told Mark. "Our children's happiness is all that matters." As the family prepared for the children's first birthday, Sarah decided to host a small gathering to celebrate. Close friends, family, and a few supporters from their online community were invited. The party was a joyful occasion, filled with laughter, love, and plenty of surprises. The zebra baby galloped around the yard, followed closely by the lion cub, while the bird babies chirped in excitement from their perch. During the party, Sarah took a moment to thank everyone who had supported them. "You've helped us show the world that love knows no limits," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Our children are a testament to the beauty of differences, and we're grateful to share this journey with all of you." The celebration ended with a group photo, capturing the family and their extended community in a moment of pure joy. As Sarah looked at the photo later that night, she felt a deep sense of gratitude. Life had given her an extraordinary challenge, but it had also blessed her with an extraordinary family. As the children approached their second year, life with Sarah and Mark's extraordinary family had found a rhythm. The world's fascination had shifted from sensationalism to genuine admiration, with many looking to the family as a symbol of resilience and love. The children, now more active and expressive, had fully embraced their uniqueness, filling their home with endless energy and laughter. Each child had developed distinct abilities that continued to amaze their parents. Leo, the lion cub, had grown into a confident leader among his siblings, often guiding them during their playtime adventures. Polly, the parrot-like child, had mastered full sentences, her melodic voice echoing through the house as she engaged in conversations with her siblings and parents. Grace, with her giraffe-like traits, had taken an interest in books, often sitting with Sarah as they explored colorful picture stories. The penguin-like Pippa had become the family's little adventurer, constantly waddling off to explore the house or the backyard. She had even figured out how to open the latch to her water play area, delighting in the splashes she created. Meanwhile, the monkey-like child, whom they had named Max, had proven to be an adept climber, often scaling the furniture with ease and finding clever ways to amuse his siblings. One day, Sarah decided to take the children on a family outing to a nearby nature reserve. It was the first time they ventured out as a group since the media frenzy had subsided, and Sarah hoped it would be a chance for the children to connect with the natural world that so many of their traits resembled. The reserve staff had prepared a private area for the family, ensuring their visit would remain peaceful. As the children explored the open space, their reactions were nothing short of magical. Leo roared softly as he watched a pride of lions from a distance, his posture mirroring theirs. Pippa waddled excitedly toward a small pond, her chirps blending with the sounds of real penguins nearby. Polly perched on Sarah's shoulder, mimicking the calls of the tropical birds flying overhead. For Sarah and Mark, the outing was a poignant reminder of their children's connection to the animal world. "It's like they're seeing a part of themselves out here," Sarah said as she watched Grace stretch her long neck to observe the trees. Mark nodded. "And they're showing us just how natural and beautiful their differences are." The outing also became a bonding experience for the family. The children's shared wonder and excitement brought them closer together, reinforcing the unique bond they shared. By the end of the day, they returned home tired but happy, the memories of the reserve etched in their hearts. As the children continued to grow, Sarah and Mark worked tirelessly to ensure they were prepared for the world. They began homeschooling the children, tailoring lessons to their individual needs and strengths. Leo showed an interest in problem-solving and leadership activities, while Polly excelled in languages and music. Grace loved science, especially anything related to nature, and Pippa thrived in hands-on, exploratory lessons. Their home became a haven of learning and creativity. Sarah and Mark encouraged the children to embrace their uniqueness, teaching them that their differences were gifts, not obstacles. They also instilled the importance of kindness and empathy, reminding the children to treat others with respect and understanding. The family's story continued to inspire people around the world. Sarah's blog had become a platform for meaningful conversations about diversity, acceptance, and the beauty of life's unpredictability. Readers from all walks of life shared their stories, creating a community that celebrated differences and supported one another. One evening, as the family gathered around the dinner table, Sarah looked at her children, now lively toddlers, and felt a wave of gratitude. Their laughter filled the room, a reminder of how far they had come. "You're all so special," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "I hope you always remember that." Mark reached for her hand, his eyes reflecting the same gratitude. "We've been given a gift," he said, "and every day we get to watch it grow." Their journey had been anything but ordinary, but Sarah and Mark wouldn't have had it any other way. They knew their family's story was far from over, but they faced the future with hope, love, and the unshakable belief that together, they could overcome anything. The world may have been fascinated by the extraordinary nature of their children, but for Sarah and Mark, they were simply their kids, the greatest miracle they could have ever hoped for.